Hello, it's Esther. Today, I really want to talk about something that's been on my mind for quite a while. I, if you don't know, am a music composer and producer, and I also have a mental health condition called BPD, and I've been diagnosed with various other things, but one of the underlying traits that just kind of runs through everything for me is being a highly sensitive person. Yeah. I can say that now. For a while, I found it awkward to even voice that I'm a sensitive person. It's not a cool thing to be sensitive. It's not what is valued in society today to be a highly sensitive person. So yeah, I am one. I'm a highly sensitive little girly. And I just want to share some of my experiences and things that I've gone through, as I feel it's something that a lot of us have to kind of hide. And especially in my job, I've definitely felt like the way that I needed to come across and portray myself was this kind of baddie, unbothered, I don't give a lifestyle. And unfortunately, I tried so hard to be a bad, but it didn't work. So without further ado, I guess I'll go back to the beginning. I grew up in a really highly sensitive environment. My family are amazing and they're wonderful, lovely people, but we all feel the world quite strongly. We all feel the world. So I just grew up thinking that this is the way the world is, that we feel things really heavily and are really sensitive and in tuned to other people's emotions. And I think out of this sensitivity, I definitely developed a people-pleasing trait. Because I felt people's emotions so much, I really was constantly trying to shift myself and change myself to make sure that I wasn't upsetting anybody, that I wasn't causing any trouble. And to this day, I'm still extremely sensitive, worrying that I've upset people, worrying that people are annoyed at me, and scanning minute details of body language and tone. It does lead to just a never-ending noise in your head, worrying about other people's feelings and taking on a responsibility for their feelings as well. So if somebody's having a bad day and they come in, I must have done something, or it's my responsibility to make them feel better. So my household, very sensitive. It wasn't until I left home at 18 and I moved to London after being in quite a depressed state. I'd withdrawn from a lot of my friends and struggled to explain what was happening and why, and I ended up not applying to university and sort of leaving home. So as I left and started to make friends in London, which I found difficult, by the way, I was very, very lonely for a very long time. And that's another thing I find with being a highly sensitive person is people can be really stressful and difficult and confusing because we feel all of their emotions. So finding friends that you feel comfortable with, I need to feel extremely safe with them. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm in a room on my own, even if I'm surrounded by other people. So I moved to London. I start to make friends. I've got a job working in music. I start to realize that I went into that environment very naive. I think because of the way that I'd grown up, I thought that maybe everybody else feels these same feelings and that everybody else is caring, or we want the best for each other. And I was suddenly thrown into a group of people that were really attracted to my heart on my sleeve, caring, invested nature, but weren't really there for me. Like, they needed that love and care, but when I became burnt out and overwhelmed, they didn't like it. And this is another thing that highly sensitive people go through a lot, is emotional burnout, because we take everybody's emotions, we take on so many things, and what I do, I just withdraw. I just completely shut down, I disappear. And this is really frustrating. I know it's frustrating. It frustrates me, and it's confusing because you are there, you're all caring, you're like invested in somebody's life and you're supportive, and then suddenly you just disappear. And that's often when an environment has become toxic, or a person has been draining your energy but not really giving anything back. So this was all a massive learning curve for me, starting to realize that the way that I was maybe a little bit different to most other people. And this kind of led me on a journey of starting to think maybe that there was something wrong with me. So in this world, my experience is that in order to be successful or to come off as professional, we need to be in this mentality of unbothered, boss doesn't take any and I am probably literally the opposite of all three. I am so bothered. I think that I'm probably not alone, that many highly sensitive people have tried to adapt their behavior or put on a mask or a front that things are different. The world that we live in has been built on those who have the power. And in this case, it's white men of a certain type of ilk, which is hyper-masculine, super noble, and the kind of dominant alpha energy. And for both men and women, that leaves us in a sticky position where for men that have more traits of sensitivity, emotional, maybe they're more intuitive, will be labeled as feminine, girly. And of course, in the world today, that's an insult. And for women, for women, it just basically means that you have to act a certain way if you want to be considered professional. You have to be more like the standard that has been set for us, these hyper masculine dominant roles. And there just doesn't seem to be much room or space for people to run businesses in a different way. So I am a music producer and I mostly write for TV and film now, but if we go back a few years, I was pretty focused on my own artistic project, not working with brands in films and TV. And in this world, as I was navigating it, started to see and notice a trend of the types of people that were doing really well in their careers in music. And it was at a time where it was becoming very apparent that to be an artist in today, whether that's music, classic arts, like any type of artistic industry, you now need to be a business person as well. You need to be a social media person. You need to sell yourself and you need to bring in and get those followers yourself. It's not about your art so much anymore. It's a mixture of both. So I watch TV shows and there are these characters that just don't give a and I wanted to be like that. And that's cool and that's celebrated. And that is the culture we have today, is boss mentality. It's steel, icy. It's that, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I started trying to mask my highly sensitive traits. And this kind of reached a peak when I ended up landing a job going on tour with a really big pop artist who I love, and I have no beef with her. She's amazing, and it was nothing to do with her why this happened. But basically, I had never been on tour with a huge artist before. I never worked as a session musician. So I joined this crew who the general consensus was all the people on board, like minus a couple, were very much that classic type A personality. Get it done, don't complain, get on with it, done. And I'm all for that, that's great, but like my mind doesn't work that way. So when I joined, I was really nervous, and I've obviously learned that in life we need to like mask anxiety. We just can't be a nervous wreck. I went in, I was already here trying to act like this is all cool, like I've got this, I can do this. We're away for weeks and weeks on end, sometimes months. You're away from your friends and family. This becomes your new everything, your new all environment. It's almost like going back to the beginning where you're in your family environment, who you grew up with, and that is all that exists. So suddenly I was thrown into this new dynamic. I didn't know these people. I hadn't chosen these people. We would do practices and things, and at the end I might say, oh, I'm really sorry, like I messed this up. I'll get it right next time, whatever. Or I just wanted to ask, when this happens, do I do this? Or I wanted to ask question first and not make mistakes later. That's how I am. But I would kind of get very aggressive responses back, or people being like, sort it out, like you just need to do it, get on with it. So I stopped asking questions and I realized I'm gonna have to fake it to make it here. I'm gonna have to just suppress every natural urge in me that wants to ask if I've done the right thing or not. Literally make myself delusional to think that I don't give a I can do this. And for a while, it worked. I was playing these huge shows, had incredible experience, traveled the world, and I'm so proud that I've done that, and it was awesome. But it came at a cost, and through that decision and that need to suppress who I was, it started to take a really, really dark turn. And this is why I want to speak about it, because no matter what environment you are in, no matter who you are surrounded by, no matter what job you have and how important it is and it will never come again, nothing is worth losing yourself. Nothing is worth denying who you fundamentally are as a human. And this is what's so dangerous about a society that tells us how we need to be, what traits are encouraged and not, and standards that are set by a minority group of people. That means we all feel we need to replicate that same behavior instead of kind of celebrating all the different types of people and making space for them. And obviously we've been doing this since the beginning of time. Clearly, we have massive issues as human beings for making space for people that either look, sound, or act differently. So things started to take a bit of a turn. I started to really suffer from the late nights, the constant traveling. I wasn't used to it. And as a highly sensitive person, all of this change and being away from my safe people became really, really difficult. I started experiencing a lot of paranoia. There were times when I thought there were like people in the building and I would be crying in the shower, thinking that someone was coming in. Like I started to unravel mentally, but I felt afraid to say that I was struggling. And things got pretty dark pretty fast. And I will say this, I do have a mental health condition. So this is not just to do with highly sensitive people, but that core trigger of me being a sensitive person, which has so many negative connotations, even just saying it, I can't be that. And as a result, I started to shut down mentally. This mental sickness can affect anybody. It may look different to what I experience, but the same core thing is there. So I started thinking that my empathy, my softness, my caringness was preventing me from being successful. The people around me were showing different traits, and I was trying to mold myself into something else. Gradually, I started to get darker in my thinking. And I started to become convinced that I needed to give myself basically to the devil to take away this sensitivity so that I wouldn't hurt anymore, so that I wouldn't feel anymore and I could just be like a regular person. And that was what my environment was telling me I needed to be like. After over a year of this, I got really unwell and I ended up in a psychiatric hospital, which turned out to be one of many times that would happen following this. But that kind of veers more into a mental health type of person. I want to kind of stay focused on the high sensitivity here, but it was probably over a couple of years that this had kind of been building. I've been searching, can you change your nature? Can you stop being a highly sensitive person? How do you stop? How do you get rid of love and care for people? How do you stop feeling sad about walking past an old man on the street because you feel that you're going to make him sad and feel irrelevant in life by walking too fast round him, seeing a pigeon with one foot and breaking down because it's the saddest thing you've ever seen. Like, it hurts. It really hurts to care. It really hurts to care. And it took me a long time to heal and to accept myself. So after hospital and I came off the tour and I was out of that environment and this pressure to be successful, it took a long time. But I remember so clearly the day when I said to myself, you are soft, you are gentle, you are kind, you are caring, and that is your nature. And that led, for months, that seed just sank in. I just let that sink in. And gradually, I started to be able to tell myself that that was beautiful, that that was a special thing, a good thing, and that there is space for me. But I had to tell myself that. I had to stop letting the world tell me who I needed to be. I was listening to the world and not myself. I was listening to the wrong things and the wrong people. And I just needed to tell myself, you are beautiful the way you are. The way that you are is so special and needed in this world. And to any highly sensitive people out there, you are the most beautiful, magical, incredible things. And so much of art and creativity is inspired by people like us. And unfortunately, there are lots of people out there that do end up caught up in this business sector that ends up sucking the life out of these highly sensitive creatives. You know, there's a reason why we lose so many artists in this world. And unfortunately, I just think that sometimes the pressures and the dynamics are too much. You know, it feels overwhelming to exist in this world sometimes. It hurts. It really hurts. But it's so important to have us here because we care. We don't just listen for the sake of listening. We want to listen. We love people, but we're also scared of them because they can be quite painful. But I just wanted to share this. I'm now at a place where I love that I am a highly sensitive person. I think that there's so many beautiful traits to it and there's so many beautiful things that it allows me to do and see, but it is a process and every single day I'm trying to cope with it better, and I still have lots of bad days and times where I wish I didn't feel so much, but for me, the most important thing was owning it. I was trying to run away and convince people that I was not that. I was trying to convince the world that I didn't care, that I was an unbothered queen. I don't give a f***, but guess what I do? The art of not giving a f***, right? That's what we're supposed to be. How many books have you read to try to not give a f***? To try to feel less, to make things hurt less. Has it gone away? No, because that's how you are meant to be. And it has its strengths and powers, and it has its difficulties, but you are so special and important, and just accept that's who you are, and you will find your people. You will find the people that nurture you and care just as much as you nurture and care for other people too. And I'm not trying to say that it's not important to build yourself up, you know, to take responsibility. I have to push myself every day to do things that feel difficult. I mean, I have mental health issues on top as well. So neurodivergence as a whole is a very tricky thing to live with in a world that doesn't really make space for us. So we have to adapt, but never change yourself, or at least please never reject who you are. Please never try to think that you need to get rid of this, because it's so deeply in you, down to your DNA. It's all of who you are, and it makes you magical and it makes you special. It makes you intuitive. We really experience the world in a very different way than other people. It's like we're seeing more, we're feeling more. So remember to take time and breaks as well. Try to ease the overwhelm that leads to burnout by creating boundaries for yourself, by finding the people that fill you up rather than drain you, and by making sure that you're taking time for self-care and rest, that you don't need to make up for anything, that you don't need to take on other people's emotions. And I'm preaching to myself here because I still do this and I still struggle with it. But yeah, I'm really grateful if you've watched this far, and I really hope that you are able to get something from this, whether you yourself are a highly sensitive person, you just feel a little bit more than most, or if you know somebody who is, maybe you can have a little bit of insight into how we work and how sometimes it's not walking on eggshells, it's learning to have an open dialogue with that person, what triggers them and what doesn't, because as much as we are highly sensitive, we can take a lot. We can take on a lot. Just because we're sensitive does not mean that we're not strong. We are strong as f***. okay? So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.